Ford, Jeep, and GM just pulled the biggest stunt in automotive history. What they've been hiding will leave you stunned. For years, these automotive giants have built their reputations on trust and innovation. But now, buyers are uncovering the truth behind skyrocketing prices, mysterious markups, and cars that seem to disappear from the market. What's really going on behind the scenes? Why are advertised prices so different from what you actually pay? Who's really to blame for this chaos? Dealers or manufacturers? And most importantly, how does this impact you? Stay tuned to find out. What's happening? Starting at $29,500. That's what the shiny advertisement for the latest truck promises. But have you ever actually seen one on a dealership lot for that price? Spoiler alert, you haven't. Manufacturers have turned sticker prices into a psychological game. They know a lower starting price grabs attention and sparks interest, even if it's wildly misleading. Take the Chevrolet Colorado, for example. Advertised as starting at $29,500, this truck sounds like a bargain for what it offers. But a closer look at dealership inventories tells a different story. A nationwide search shows that the cheapest Colorado you can realistically find costs $31,000, and that's before adding dealer fees, taxes, or any necessary upgrades. This gap between the advertised price and the real-world cost is no accident. Automakers often produce an extremely limited number of the base models they use in their ads, sometimes only enough to legally claim the advertised price is available. When potential buyers arrive at dealerships, they're shown upgraded trims with higher price tags. It's a classic bait and switch tactic that relies on the hope that, after seeing the more expensive model, you'll accept paying more. The strategy works because most consumers don't know how limited the base models are. They assume the price discrepancy is due to optional features they can't live without or extra fees that are unavoidable. But here's the reality: many of these low-cost models never even make it to the lot. Instead, they exist only on paper or in promotional materials, ensuring the manufacturer looks competitive without actually offering the deal they're advertising. The illusion of affordability hooks buyers, but what happens when you show up to a dealership? The auto industry's next trick is even more manipulative, and it starts long before you set foot on the lot. How auto shows manipulate expectations. Auto shows are a car lover's paradise. Bright lights, sleek designs, and endless possibilities. But beneath the glitz and glamour lies a carefully constructed facade designed to manipulate expectations. At events like the Charlotte Auto Show, manufacturers showcase their latest models to drum up excitement. Rows of shiny vehicles promise the future of automotive innovation, complete with jaw-dropping features and attractive price points. But what many don't realize is that these auto shows are more theater than reality. Take the example of the Ford Bronco displayed at the show. It was a striking Heritage Edition model with a price tag of $71,500. Next to it was a sign proclaiming, starting at $32,000. The problem? The version priced at $32,000 was a stripped-down base model that no one actually wanted, and more importantly, one that dealerships rarely stocked. The show floor was filled with premium trims, reinforcing the illusion that these are the vehicles you can expect to find. Manufacturers rely on the emotional experience of an auto show. The sight of a powerful truck or sleek SUV combined with the promise of affordability is enough to ignite a buyer's desire. But the reality is that auto shows are marketing spectacles. They're designed to convince you that the impossible, a high-end vehicle at a low-end price, is within reach. Auto shows also set the stage for disappointment. Consumers leave with a mental image of a dream vehicle only to find it unattainable in real life. This emotional letdown can pressure buyers into settling for pricier trims or agreeing to unfavorable terms just to stay close to their original vision. Auto shows paint a perfect picture, but the cracks begin to show once buyers start digging into the details. The real shocker: the hidden costs lurking behind those enticing starting prices. The hidden costs of starting prices. Why does the price you see on the sticker never match the price you pay? It's not a coincidence. It's a calculated strategy to squeeze more money out of every buyer. The advertised starting price is just the tip of the iceberg. Once you step into a dealership, additional costs quickly pile up, making the initial price tag feel like a distant memory. For example, a Chevrolet Colorado advertised at $29,500 becomes $35,000 after factoring in destination fees, optional packages, and dealer-installed add-ons. One of the biggest culprits is the mandatory dealer fee, which can range from a few hundred to several $1,000s depending on the dealership and location. These fees are often non-negotiable and rarely mentioned in advertisements, leaving buyers feeling blindsided at the closing table. Then there are optional extras that are often pre-installed, like nitrogen-filled tires or paint protection, which can add thousands of dollars to the cost without offering much tangible value. Another hidden cost comes from financing. Dealerships frequently advertise low monthly payments or promotional interest rates, but these offers usually come with strict conditions. Buyers often discover that they don't qualify for the best rates or that they're required to finance through the dealership to access certain discounts. In the end, the deal can end up costing significantly more than if they had shopped around for independent financing. The final, often overlooked factor is scarcity. Manufacturers produce base models in limited quantities, making them nearly impossible to find. Dealerships then use this scarcity to upsell higher trims, often convincing buyers that upgrading is the only way to get a vehicle within a reasonable time frame. The hidden costs of buying a car reveal the industry's true priorities, but what does this mean for the average buyer? The real victims of this system are caught in the middle, and it's not who you might think. Who's paying the price? You might think the automakers are winning in this game of inflated prices, but the truth is far more complex, and it's costing more than just money. The deceptive pricing practices of manufacturers are putting immense strain on dealerships, who are the ones stuck dealing with frustrated customers and overstocked inventory. Many dealerships are left holding vehicles they can't sell at advertised prices, creating financial strain and forcing them to slash margins just to stay afloat. For buyers, the consequences are even more personal. Many enter dealerships expecting to pay the advertised price, only to leave feeling duped, overcharged, and disillusioned. This erosion of trust creates a rift between consumers and the brands they once loved, making future purchases less likely. The emotional toll is real. Imagine saving for years to buy your dream vehicle, only to find that it costs $10,000 more than you expected. The joy of ownership is replaced by frustration and regret, creating a negative experience that lingers long after the deal is done. But perhaps the most surprising victim in this system is the long-term reputation of the brands themselves. Iconic names like Ford, Jeep, and GM built their legacies on trust and reliability, yet their current practices are alienating loyal customers. This short-term focus on profits over people risks long-term damage to their standing in the market. The true cost of these deceptive practices goes beyond the financial. It's about eroding trust and damaging relationships. As these practices become more widespread, the next question is how dealerships are coping with the fallout and why the inventory crisis is spiraling out of control. Inventory overflow, a dealer's nightmare. What happens when dealerships can't sell fast enough? Rows of unsold vehicles stacking up like forgotten toys, and it's costing everyone. Across the country, dealerships are grappling with a crisis they never anticipated. Too much inventory and not enough buyers. On dealership lots, you'll find rows of Ford Broncos, Jeep Gladiators, and Chevrolet Colorados gathering dust. What should have been quick-moving, high-demand vehicles are now liabilities. In some cases, dealers are running out of space, resorting to renting fields or using overflow lots just to store unsold stock. This isn't just about cars sitting idle, it's about money tied up in unsold inventory. Dealerships operate on a floor plan financing system, which means they essentially rent vehicles from manufacturers, paying interest on each car until it's sold. The longer these vehicles sit, the more money dealerships lose, forcing them to take drastic measures to offload inventory. For instance, dealers are offering discounts as high as $20,000 on new trucks, but even these eye-popping deals aren't always enough to attract buyers. The situation becomes even more dire with outdated models. For example, dealerships still holding 2024 models face mounting pressure as 2025 vehicles arrive on their lots. Buyers naturally gravitate toward the newest models, leaving older inventory at an even greater disadvantage. The only solution? Deeper discounts that chip away at already razor-thin profit margins. Inventory overflow is just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface lies a more insidious issue: how manufacturers control trims and pricing, leaving buyers and dealers stuck between a rock and a hard place. The truth about trim levels. Why is the car you want always unavailable? It's not bad luck, it's a deliberate strategy. Manufacturers use trim levels as both a selling tool and a psychological weapon. The base models you see advertised are rarely the ones you'll find on the lot. Instead, dealerships are packed with mid to high level trims loaded with features you may not want or need. The goal? To make you believe the higher price is justified and unavoidable. Take the Chevrolet Colorado as an example. While the base trim is advertised at $29,500, most inventory consists of models costing $35,000 or more. Why? Manufacturers know these trims are more profitable, so they prioritize production on higher-end versions. Buyers hoping for the base model are told it's out of stock, with the suggestion to upgrade for only a few thousand more. This strategy isn't new, but it's becoming more prevalent. With rising production costs and shrinking profit margins, automakers are doubling down on selling higher trims to maximize revenue. For buyers, it means fewer options and a feeling of being cornered into spending more. The manipulation of trims exposes just how tightly manufacturers control the market, but the rise of electric vehicles is adding even more pressure to an already strained system. The EV factor, how electric vehicles are shaking things up. Electric vehicles are the future, but are they also the reason traditional cars are getting harder to buy? The auto industry is in the middle of a massive transition, and electric vehicles are at the heart of it. Legacy automakers like Ford, Jeep, and GM are racing to compete with industry disruptors like Tesla. While this shift is necessary for long-term survival, it's creating significant short-term challenges, especially for dealerships. One major issue is the allocation of resources. Automakers are pouring billions into EV development, which means less focus on traditional gas-powered vehicles. This has led to supply shortages for certain models and inflated prices for others. For example, Ford's EV division, Model E, reported significant financial losses in recent years, which puts even more pressure on the company to recoup costs through aggressive pricing strategies on traditional vehicles. The introduction of EVs is also reshaping dealership dynamics. Selling EVs requires specialized training and infrastructure, from charging stations to maintenance tools. Many dealerships are unprepared for this transition, creating an uneven customer experience. At the same time, manufacturers are experimenting with direct-to-consumer sales models, cutting dealerships out of the equation entirely. This move could permanently alter the car buying landscape, leaving traditional dealerships struggling to remain relevant. For buyers, the EV push presents unique opportunities and challenges. Government incentives and tax credits make EVs more affordable than ever, but the high initial cost and limited charging infrastructure deter many from making the switch. Meanwhile, traditional vehicles, faced with dwindling attention from manufacturers, are being pushed out with aggressive discounts. This tug-of-war between EVs and gas-powered cars leaves buyers navigating an uncertain market with fewer clear options. As EVs disrupt the market, legacy brands like Ford, Jeep, and GM face an even bigger challenge: restoring trust with their customers while staying competitive in a rapidly changing industry. Legacy brands' struggle to keep up. Ford, Jeep, GM, three giants built on trust. So why does it feel like they're losing their way? For decades, Ford, Jeep, and GM were synonymous with reliability, innovation, and American pride. They dominated the market with vehicles like the Ford F-Series, the Jeep Wrangler, and the Chevrolet Silverado. But today, these once revered brands are battling a crisis of confidence, driven by pricing controversies, inventory struggles, and mounting competition. Ford, for instance, has faced criticism for its pricing strategy on popular models like the Bronco and Maverick. While these vehicles generate plenty of buzz, their steep price tags often alienate potential buyers. Similarly, Jeep's decision to heavily discount older models has created confusion and frustration among customers, who wonder why they're paying more for less. GM, meanwhile, has struggled to balance its focus on EVs with the demand for traditional vehicles, leading to inconsistencies in pricing and availability. Adding to the problem is the rise of newer competitors like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid Motors. These brands are redefining the industry with direct-to-consumer sales, cutting-edge technology, and streamlined production processes. Legacy automakers, by comparison, seem bogged down by outdated systems and practices, making it harder for them to adapt. This isn't just a financial issue, it's a branding crisis. Customers are losing faith in these once-trusted names, questioning whether they still represent value, quality, and innovation. Restoring this trust will require more than just discounts or flashy advertisements. It will take a fundamental shift in how these companies operate and communicate with their customers. The struggle of legacy brands reveals the deep cracks in the industry, but what does it mean for the future of car buying? The answers lie in how the industry can rebuild trust and adapt to new consumer expectations. Mismatched marketing, promises versus reality. Is the car market built on promises that no one intends to keep? For buyers, it certainly feels that way. Marketing campaigns from automakers paint a picture of affordability and availability. Glitzy ads feature shiny new models with tempting starting prices, often positioned as being within reach of the average buyer. But what happens when you walk into a dealership only to find that the advertised model doesn't exist or costs significantly more than promised? This disconnect between what's advertised and what's delivered is more than just a frustration, it's a systematic issue. Automakers lean heavily on aspirational marketing, where ads showcase the dream version of a vehicle but attach a price to the stripped-down base model. For example, a Ford Bronco Heritage Edition is advertised with rugged features and nostalgic styling but is priced at over $70,000. Meanwhile, the starting price of $32,000 refers to a base model so rare it's practically a unicorn. This strategy creates an emotional hook for buyers, encouraging them to visit dealerships. Once there, they're met with limited options, high-pressure sales tactics, and a realization that the vehicle they envisioned is out of their price range. For many, this experience erodes trust, not just in the dealership but in the brand itself. The problem doesn't stop at pricing. Marketing often promises cutting-edge features, unbeatable reliability, and premium quality. Yet many buyers report issues ranging from recalls to disappointing interior finishes. The gap between expectations and reality leaves customers feeling misled and undervalued. Marketing might get buyers through the door, but it's what happens next that determines whether trust is built or broken. Unfortunately, the industry's unavailable trim strategy ensures frustration is the norm. The unavailable trim strategy. Why is the car you're searching for always out of stock? It's not by accident, it's by design. When a car ad highlights a model's affordability or unique features, it's natural to assume you'll be able to find that version at your local dealership. However, many buyers quickly discover that the advertised trims are mysteriously unavailable. This is the unavailable trim strategy, a tactic automakers and dealerships use to upsell buyers into more expensive models. Here's how it works. Automakers advertise base trims with attractive features and low prices, but only produce a small number of those models. Most dealerships don't even receive these base trims, leaving their lots filled with mid to high level options instead. For example, Jeep might advertise a Gladiator Sport at $40,000, but the actual inventory consists mostly of Rubicons and Overlands priced closer to $60,000. Dealers often deflect blame, claiming that they only sell what manufacturers send them. While this is true to an extent, dealerships also play a role by prioritizing trims that offer higher profit margins. Buyers hoping to find the affordable version end up feeling pressured to settle for something pricier, simply because it's available. This tactic creates a cycle of frustration. Buyers feel deceived, dealers struggle to offload high-priced inventory, and automakers continue to churn out vehicles that don't align with customer expectations. Meanwhile, the advertised starting price remains a myth, designed more to lure customers than to reflect reality. The unavailable trim strategy shifts costs and risks onto dealerships, leaving them to navigate an increasingly tense relationship with manufacturers. But who's really at fault for these broken promises? Dealers versus manufacturers. Who's really at fault? Is your frustration at the dealership misplaced? The truth about who controls the car buying experience might surprise you. Dealers often bear the brunt of customer complaints about pricing, availability, and upselling tactics. But in many cases, they're simply following marching orders from the manufacturers. Automakers dictate everything from production schedules to inventory allocation, leaving dealerships with limited control over what they sell. For instance, Ford might decide to focus on producing high-end trims of the Bronco, sending those to dealerships while limiting the supply of base models. Dealers are then forced to sell what they're given, even if it doesn't match local demand. This misalignment creates tension between dealers and manufacturers, with dealerships feeling like they're being set up to fail. Manufacturers also control pricing to a significant degree. While dealerships can offer discounts or incentives, the base MSRP is non-negotiable. Automakers often introduce factory-installed features or packages that inflate costs, leaving dealers with little room to maneuver. This rigid pricing structure frustrates both dealers and buyers, creating an environment where trust is eroded on all sides. Despite these challenges, dealerships aren't entirely innocent. Some engage in predatory practices like adding exorbitant market adjustment fees or refusing to honor advertised discounts. This behavior further alienates customers, making it difficult to identify where the real fault lies. Ultimately, the conflict between manufacturers and dealerships hurts buyers the most. Instead of working together to deliver value and transparency, these two entities often prioritize their own interests, leaving consumers stuck in the middle. The battle between manufacturers and dealerships reveals cracks in the system, but the real impact is felt by buyers, who are left navigating a frustrating and emotionally draining process. The emotional toll of car shopping. Why does buying a car feel so exhausting? It's not just the price, it's the entire process. For many people, buying a car should be an exciting milestone. Instead, it often feels like a drawn-out battle filled with stress, confusion, and regret. From deceptive pricing to high-pressure sales tactics, the experience can leave buyers emotionally drained long before they drive off the lot. One major factor is the lack of transparency. Buyers enter dealerships armed with research and expectations, only to encounter unexpected fees, unavailable trims, and aggressive upselling. This constant push-pull creates anxiety and frustration, making it difficult to trust the process or the people involved. The psychological impact extends beyond the dealership. Many buyers report feeling buyer's remorse shortly after making a purchase, especially if they felt pressured into spending more than they intended. This regret is compounded by the realization that they may have been misled or manipulated. For others, the emotional toll comes from the sheer amount of time and effort required to find a car. Endless searches for the right model, haggling over prices, and navigating financing options can feel overwhelming, especially for those who are already busy with work and family commitments. At its core, the car buying process has become a test of patience and resilience. Instead of feeling empowered, many buyers walk away feeling defeated, wondering if the vehicle they purchased was truly worth the cost, both financially and emotionally. The emotional toll of car shopping is a symptom of deeper issues within the industry, but what can buyers do to protect themselves and regain control? The answers lie in understanding the hidden strategies and learning how to outsmart them. Lessons from industry disruptors. While legacy brands struggle, disruptors like Tesla and Rivian are rewriting the rules. What can Ford, Jeep, and GM learn from their playbook? Legacy automakers like Ford, Jeep, and GM have built their reputations over decades, but their struggle to adapt to changing market dynamics stands in stark contrast to the meteoric rise of industry disruptors. Brands like Tesla and Rivian have managed to sidestep many of the pitfalls that plague traditional automakers, leaving consumers wondering why these newer companies seem to have the upper hand. Tesla, for instance, revolutionized the sales process by cutting out dealerships altogether. Buyers can purchase a vehicle directly from Tesla, eliminating many of the frustrations associated with traditional dealerships. Pricing is transparent, inventory is clear, and the entire process feels streamlined and customer-focused. Rivian, a newer player in the EV space, has followed a similar path, emphasizing customer experience and delivering on promises with high-quality niche products. These companies have also leveraged technology in ways that legacy brands have been slow to adopt. Online configurators, real-time inventory updates, and direct communication channels give customers a sense of control and confidence. This focus on transparency and customer satisfaction has allowed disruptors to build trust quickly, even as they navigate their own growing pains. For traditional automakers, the lesson is clear. Transparency, customer-centric practices, and technological innovation aren't optional, they're essential. Legacy brands have the advantage of scale and history, but without significant changes to their approach, they risk being left behind in an increasingly competitive landscape. While disruptors set new standards, legacy brands must navigate an uphill battle to restore their reputation. But can they rebuild trust in time to compete effectively? The road ahead. What's at stake? The next decade will define the future of the auto industry. Will legacy brands rise to the challenge or fade into obscurity? The automotive industry is undergoing a seismic shift. From the rise of electric vehicles to the changing expectations of consumers, every aspect of the market is in flux. For legacy automakers like Ford, Jeep, and GM, the stakes couldn't be higher. The path forward requires bold action. Automakers must embrace innovation, transparency, and collaboration while staying true to the values that built their reputations in the first place. This means producing high-quality vehicles that meet customer needs, prioritizing affordability without sacrificing features, and fostering trust through honest communication. At the same time, automakers must confront the challenges of a rapidly evolving market. Competition from disruptors, economic uncertainty, and the push for sustainability all demand a level of agility and vision that legacy brands have historically struggled to achieve. The opportunity, however, is enormous. Brands that can navigate these challenges successfully have the potential to redefine the industry and cement their place as leaders in the next era of automotive excellence. For buyers, the hope is that this transformation will lead to a more transparent, customer-focused market where trust is restored and innovation thrives. The future of the automotive industry is in motion, and its direction will shape the way we drive, buy, and think about cars for generations to come. But what do you think? Are Ford, Jeep, and GM poised to make a comeback, or will disruptors leave them in the dust? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.